Hi everyone, my name is Varna. Today's class is on energy, metabolism and nutrition. So first of all, let's see how energy is produced in our body. How is energy produced? It's through the diet which we take in. So in the diet, in the form of carbohydrates, proteins and lipids. All these is digested in our body, it's transported to in various organs. The digestive products are getting stored in our body and it is utilized for energy purpose. So this helps in maintaining the normal activity of our body. Energy is required for the various physical activity, various functions of the organs, etc. So in this class, let's see about various terminology related to the energy, metabolism and also basic nutrition. Moving on to the topic, energy requirements of a normal person. The energy requirement of a normal person is divided into BMR, SDA and energy required for physical activity. So the first terminology, let's see, it's BMR, basal metabolic rate. It is defined as the energy required by an awake individual during physical, emotional and digestive rest. So the individual is awake and he is in rest in physical way, in emotional way and in digestive way. If he is in rest, then how much energy is required by the person to survive. It is otherwise defined as the minimum energy required to maintain life or to sustain the vital functions like working of heart, circulation, brain function, respiration, etc. So it is the energy required to maintain life, or it is the energy required for sustaining the vital organs like heart, brain and lungs. It is measured directly by the heat evolved or indirectly by the volume of oxygen consumed and carbon dioxide evolved per unit time. Next, let's see what are the factors affecting BMR. First one is age. During active growth, the BMR is found to be high, and in old age, it's found to be lowered. That is, during active growth phase, there is more metabolic rate and more metabolism. Whereas in old age, the metabolism of the body is getting lower. That's the reason why it's affecting the age. So BMR is found to be high during active growth phase, and during old age it is getting lowered. Next factor is sex. That is, in males it is found to be more. The BMR is found to be more in males rather than in females. Next factor is the temperature. The BMR is found to be increased in cold temperature. The reason is because an extra amount of energy is being utilized in order to maintain the normal body temperature. So whenever there is a decrease in temperature, the BMR is increasing. Decrease in temperature means more cold. That means the BMR is increasing. This is because of the utilization of extra amount of energy by the body in order to maintain normal body temperature. Next factor is exercise. During exercise, the cardiac output or the cardiac activity is being increased. So there is an utilization of extra amount of energy by the cardiac system. So that also increases the BMR. So during exercise, the BMR increases due to the increased cardiac output. Next factor is fever. In fever, the BMR is found to be increased. And the last one, thyroid hormones. What is the function of thyroid hormone? It is the hormone which helps in maintaining the metabolic rate. It controls most of the metabolism. So the thyroid hormones stimulates the metabolism and heat production of our body, and the BMR is found to be increased in hyperthyroidism. Hyperthyroidism means more amount of thyroid hormones secreted by the thyroid gland. So when there is more thyroid hormones, more amount of metabolism and more heat production. So more energy utilization. So BMR is found to be increased. Whereas in hypothyroidism, the BMR is found to be lower. Hypothyroidism means unavailability of thyroid hormone. So if thyroid hormone is not available, Then the metabolism and the heat production is also lowered, which causes lowering up of BMR value. Normal values of BMR, it is affected by the body surface area. So the normal value of BMR, it is depending upon the surface area of the person. It is expressed in kilocalories per hour per square meter of the body surface. In men, it is found to be 34 to 37 kilocalories per square meter per hour, whereas in women, it is 30 to 35 kilocalories per square meter per hour. In adults, the unit is fixed as kilocalories per square meter per day. Next terminology, that is specific dynamic action, or SDA. It refers to the increased heat production or increased metabolic rate followed by the intake of food, otherwise called as a thermogenic effect of food. So you would have noticed after eating food there is an increase in temperature, body temperature is increased after the intake of food. This is because certain amount of energy is utilized for the digestion of food, for the transport and absorption of digestive products, and also for storage. The digestive products are also stored in our body, which is utilized later for energy expenditure. So for all these digestion, absorption and transport and storage, for all these metabolism we require energy. So there is an heat production or increased metabolic rate followed by the intake of food. So SDA is referred as the increased heat production or increased metabolic rate followed by the intake of food. It is due to the energy expenditure for digestion, absorption, active transport of digestive products, and production of reserve materials like glycogen and triglycerides from digestive products. Glycogen and TG, they are storage forms. So the energy expenditure or the feeling of extra heat production is due to the processes like digestion, absorption and active transport of digestive products, and also for production of reserve materials like glycogen and triglycerides. This energy is trapped from the previously available energy. So the energy which is which is utilized for digestion, absorption and storage of food, digestive products, is met by the energy which is previously available in our body. So actual energy is less than the theoretical calculation. Okay, so these two are important university questions. That is, one is what is BMR and the factors affecting. So you need to know that. Next one is SDA. What is SDA? It's simply asked as a 3 marks question. So you need to know these two. Okay, moving on to nutrient basics. So what is nutrition? It is defined as a science of food and its relation to health. So nutrition is all related to health, how healthy we are. It is concerned primarily with the part played by the nutrients in body growth, development and maintenance. So nutrition is helping in our body growth, development and maintenance. Out of that, the importance of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the main source of energy. Dietary carb provide major fraction of the energy, that is about 60 to 65% of the total calories comes from carbohydrates, and it is broadly divided into available carbohydrates and unavailable carbohydrates. So available carbohydrates, they are metabolized by the body to give energy. For example, starch and sugar. So they are directly utilized by the body to give energy. Example, sugar and starch. Next one is unavailable carbohydrates. These are the dietary fibers. Dietary fibers comes under unavailable carbohydrates, or they are the carbohydrates which is not digested by our body. So they cannot be assimilated and they constitute only the dietary fibers. So let's see what are the dietary fibers. Dietary fiber is also an important question. Dietary fibers with examples is also asked. So dietary fibers, which is mainly non-starch polysaccharide, is a physiological important compound of the diet. It is a non-starch polysaccharide. Dietary fibers are non-starch polysaccharide, and it is important constituent in our diet. It is otherwise called as unavailable or undigested carbohydrates, mostly found in vegetables, fruits and grains. It is broadly divided into cellulose, non-cellulose polysaccharides, etc. These non-cellulose polysaccharides include hemicellulose pectin, storage polysaccharides like inulin, and plant gums and mucilage. These dietary fibers are all degraded to a greater or lesser extent by the microflora in the human colon. So this is undigested fibers. They are undigested carbohydrates which cannot be digested by our human colon. These fibers, first one is soluble fibers. These soluble fibers will dissolve in water and they form gels, and they are easily digested by the bacteria in lower intestine. They provide a feeling of fullness. They help in slowing down the rate of food leaving the stomach, and they are also found to have a major role in preventing heart disease, diabetes and colon cancer. They are mainly found in legumes and fruits. So soluble fibers, they are dissolving in water and they form the gels, and they can be digested by the bacteria in the lower intestine. Since it is digested only in the lower intestine, they give a feeling of fullness. The stomach feels full when soluble fibers are being taken, and the feeling of fullness is due to the slowing down of rate of food leaving the stomach. Next one is insoluble fibers. Insoluble fibers absorbs water and they swollen up, and it results in larger, softer stool which is easier and quicker to pass. So insoluble fibers helps to prevent constipation because it absorbs water. Since it is undigested, it has been excreted through the stool. So more amount of water, since fiber is rich in if the diet is rich in fiber, then more amount of water will be found in the stool, which helps in softening the stool, and it is preventing constipation. So this is the reason why we need to add fiber in our diet. Insoluble fibers, the soluble fibers, provides a feeling of fullness, and it helps in intestinal functions, and it also prevents colon cancer. It is found in grains and vegetables. Next, moving on to the benefits of high fiber diet. High fiber diet helps in normal bowel movements. It helps in maintaining bowel health. It also found to be lowering the cholesterol level. It helps in controlling the normal sugar levels. As this high fiber diet can slow down the absorption of sugar, it helps in improving the sugar value. Blood sugar value is being maintained by the high fiber diet. Next benefit is that it aids in achieving healthy weight. It is due to the property of the fiber to absorb water, and it also gives a feeling of fullness in the stomach. We will consume less, or with small volume we are having a feeling of fullness. So with that, this high fiber diet is helping in maintaining a healthy weight. Aids in achieving healthy weight. More filling than low fiber foods, so likely to eat less and stay satisfied longer. And high fiber food tend to take longer to eat and to be less energy dense, which means they have fewer calories from the same volume of food. So if the diet is high in fiber, so with it is giving only a few calories, and from a same small volume we are getting a fewer calories, and the stomach is having a full feeling of fullness, so we tend to eat less. So these are the examples of dietary fibers and their sources and functions. These are important. You need to go through. The university asked questions is on dietary fibers with examples. So these are the examples and its function you need to go through. Next one, the requirement. Requirement of dietary fibers. An adequate intake of dietary fibers was set at 14 grams dietary fibers per 1000 calories. So if as a reference, if 2000 calorie diet is included, then we are recommended to have 28 grams per day. 14 grams per 1000 calories. If it is 2000 calorie diet, then 28 grams per day. That is the reference value. Next is the importance of lipids. Lipids, they are in the form of neutral fats and triglycerides is included in the diet. Then this lipids can lead to higher cholesterol level and other cardiac diseases, which is already discussed. Then moving on to the daily requirements. Daily requirement of fat is about 15 to 20% of the total calorie. So 15 to 20% of the total calorie should be fats. Then PUFA is should be less than 30 and cholesterol also less than 250 milligram per day. Next is importance of proteins. Proteins, they are the only source of essential vitamins. So essential vitamins is available for the body only through the protein diet. Next terminology is nitrogen balance. Nitrogen balance. A normal healthy person is said to be in nitrogen balance if the dietary intake is equal to the daily loss through urine, feces and skin. A person is said to be in nitrogen balance if the dietary intake of nitrogen is equal to the loss through urine, through feces and through skin in the form of sweat. So intake is equal to the loss through urine plus loss through feces plus loss through skin. So in that condition, if it is equal, then the person is said to be in nitrogen balance. When excretion exceeds the intake, it is said to be negative nitrogen balance. So if the excretion of nitrogen is more than the intake, then it is negative nitrogen balance. And when intake exceeds the excretion, intake is more than that of the excretion, then it is positive nitrogen balance. It is measured by calculating the dietary intake of protein nitrogen and measuring the daily excretion. Nitrogen balance. An individual nitrogen balance is dependent on the combination of dietary nitrogen intake and physiological state. This nitrogen balance status can be in balance, that is, intake is equal to the loss through urine, feces and through skin. That is said to be in balance if it is positive, or it can be negative. Negative means excretion is more rather than the intake, and positive means intake is more and excretion is less. In balance, nitrogen intake is equal to nitrogen excretion. Intake is through the amino acid, nucleotides, etc., which is included in the diet, and excretion through urine, feces, hair, skin, etc. Then positive nitrogen balance, the nitrogen intake is more and nitrogen excretion is less. It is the possible causes in childhood or in growth stage, then in pregnancy and body building. All these state, the nitrogen intake is more and excretion is less. The negative nitrogen balance is nitrogen intake is less than nitrogen excretion. It is possible during illness, starvation and post surgery. The intake is less than the excretion. Next one, factors affecting nitrogen balance. In growth and pregnancy, it is found to be positive. Then in metabolic stress, starvation and incomplete food proteins, During malnutrition, etc., it is found to be negative. Growth. During growth, it is said to be positive nitrogen balance. Growth, during the period of active growth, positive nitrogen balance is seen. Then hormones. Next factor is hormones. Growth hormones, insulin and androgen, promotes positive nitrogen balance, whereas corticosteroids causes negative nitrogen balance. In pregnancy, we see a positive nitrogen balance due to the growth of fetus. Then next factor, convalescence, that is after the surgery, post surgery, after illness or surgery, will be in positive nitrogen balance due to the active regeneration of tissue. Next one, acute illness, there is a negative nitrogen balance. Then during chronic illness, malignancy, uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, etc., shows negative nitrogen balance. Then in protein deficiency, the deficiency of even a single amino acid can lead to negative nitrogen balance. Next factor is prolonged starvation, that is also causing a negative nitrogen balance. Okay, thank you.